Hello summoners and welcome back to the Mobalytics patch 9.5 tier list Q&A video. Let's start off with a couple of questions from YouTube this week, starting off with Darksea talking about Nico top and ADC, presumably the AD/on-hit Nico build. So Nico top and ADC was pretty broken at the beginning of the patch, but it does appear that the on-hit build will be getting a hotfix soon. So we'll need to see after those nerfs come through whether it is still good. The reason it's good is because of the changes that she got to both her W and her E, I believe. And now, because Nico actually has a 3-hit passive on her W, Nico can do a lot of damage as an AD or on-hit type champion with Rage Blade, Nashers, Hurricane, even Infinity Edge is pretty good. And you take either Press the Attack or Fleet, and it's all quite good. Even AP Nico is fine too, but you might want to invest in like a Nashor's Tooth or a Lichbane for better on-hit damage. NLV also wants to know this week about Pike. He said, hey Mobalytics, maybe if you do a Q&A video, I've been wondering how's Pike? He kind of vanished after the nerf to his magic resist. Did it really hurt him that much? Pike is actually an okay champion at the moment, but due to being extremely hard to execute and follow through with a win, it's not really worth the effort for how weak he is at the moment after all of his itemization and ratio changes. Even Pike mid isn't doing as well as it used to do before. We just think that Pike is kind of like the Rakan effect, where they're really hard to play, but also not really that worth it. There are other champions and plenty of high difficult champions that are worth it at the moment, even in the support position, such as Thresh or Bard, so those would be your high skill cap, high impact supports at the moment. Pike is okay and can win some games, but is now more of a situational pick, which can be a bit rough in solo queue. We also had a question from Tommy Man talking about Brand. He said, hey, what's your guys' thoughts on mid lane Brand or just Brand in general? Brand is actually a fine champ for mid lane in lower elos. He's totally viable, does a lot of damage and can carry, and to be frank and just to be honest, most of the time in lower elo he's going to be more successful because they simply just can't dodge your damage. They will walk into you and get hit by your ulti and let it bounce around and stuff. So he is a bit better in lower elo than higher elo. He can be punished by really good like assassin players such as Zeds or Talons or LeBlancs. The higher elo you go, I would recommend starting to play him in the support position, but with the positional rankings being removed and positional matchmaking where you can actually climb a bit as Brand in mid lane and then swap to support soon, you might want to consider doing that if you like Brand. He's okay. Richard Valley said hi to the Mobalytics team and thanks for your good work. Here is one question, where is Poppy? She's not even in B tier for jungle or top. I feel like she is quite good and consistent throughout the whole game, either as a tank or assassin depending on the game. Is it one of those champions that is better to counterpick depending on team composition, build flexibility, and because of her W? For Poppy, pretty much just as you said, she is a situational pick that can be used as a great counter pick. She is an awesome counter pick to bruisers specifically that have jumps or dashes that you can deny with your W, just as you were kind of talking about. And because of that, Poppy is not really a champion who's perfect for climbing, but can be used here and there sparingly to win some games, counterpicking things like Jax or Renekton or Riven, that sort of stuff. That being said, tanks aren't the best at the moment, but I would still recommend the full tank Poppy build. I don't know about Assassin Poppy, what you were talking about, like I guess Trinity Force and Lethality or something. I would almost never recommend Assassin Poppy, but full tank is still good, and you can build her definitely a bit offensively if you wanted a Trinity Force, but I would still recommend going quite tanky, and she's pretty good with her Q-Max into Grasp of the Undying or Airy. Both of those are fine, and I would also recommend trying her jungle. As you talked about a bit in jungle, I do like Predator Poppy in the jungle and Aftershock. Both are quite good, but I would still recommend her top lane. Our last question from YouTube comes from Samuel Vignaduzzo, and he said, Teemo A, what should I build on him? On hit or the classic? For Teemo, there are a couple of build options. Now, you can go on hit and you can go AP, both do work, but it does appear that more of an AP focused build or even DPS focused build are pretty good for Teemo. If you want to go some kind of on hit item, Nashor's is always an okay and appropriate item on Teemo, but things like Liandry's, Deathcap, Void, Nashers all seem good. The thing about the Nashers and the thing about on-hit Teemo, or at least getting some attack speed, is that Teemo absolutely melts towers when you get a good amount of AP and attack speed. So if you're more of a split push style Teemo, you can go things like Grasp, or Press the Attack, or even Hail of Blades with an on-hit style build and split push all game. Or if you're more of an AP Teemo assassin type, you can go Airy or even Dark Harvest if you really wanted to, and you can go things like Void and Leandries and Morello and Deathcap. We also have a couple of questions from Instagram this week. We have Alexi Vogel said, is Gnar really that bad right now? I'm having decent results actually in low elo with him. There are a couple of problems with Gnar at the moment, and that's why he's continuing to receive some buffs. It looks like even Riot talked about him receiving more buffs on the next patch after he just received like 2 in a row. He definitely needs some love. He doesn't really have a great keystone. Fleet footwork is okay, but not really what you want. Press the attack is okay, but not really what you want. Lethal tempo is okay, but not really what you want. And they nerfed Conqueror for ranged champions. If he was actually able to take Conqueror before and they didn't nerf it for ranged champions, he might be doing better. But you just don't really have that many great options for him, and because he was nerfed heavily in the past for his competitive play viability, that means that in solo queue Gnar is almost never a good pick. He really just does need a coordinated team, and you're really reliant on finding that one good TP flank with your ulti ready and having your rage bar fully stacked. If you don't get your Gnar bar up and you don't flash in and get like a 4 or 5 man ult, then the champion just really isn't that useful. He gets outlaned and punished hard by bruisers such as Jax and Riven, and that's why he's just not really that good in solo queue. But thankfully, if you like Gnar, they will be giving him some buffs soon, so that might mean you'll find some more success, even more than you already have. And our last question this week is from Scrub Noob, who said, why is Rengar never in the normal elo tier list for jungle, but always in the high elo tier list? Rengar is a good example of a champion where he just struggles in lower elos because of the player base not being able to truly pilot him or play him to the full potential. There are a ton of high elo Rengar one tricks that do really well, and they're incredibly proficient on the champion. While it's true that if you play Jhin and you die very quickly to Rengar ult and you die to 1 or 2 auto attacks and he just pops you with a Duskblade and a crit, it might not feel like he's that hard to play, but Rengar is actually quite hard to play and win with him. It's not hard to pick up some kills, and it's not that hard to start off the game 10-0, but it's about winning, because winning is what makes you actually climb, not just killing people and having a good KDA. Rengar has a lot of intricate little mechanics that you need to learn how to master and use, using brushes, using your Q, jumping out of a bush to actually get your Q stacks earlier, that sort of thing. So Rengar is a hard to play champion, and low elos usually just don't play him to the full potential. But if you would like to be better and you would like to be just like those high elo players, check out Mobalytics today. We'll leave a link in the description down below where you can just type in your summoner profile and get started right away with Mobalytics instantly. Check it out. Use the link in the description down below because Mobalytics is your all-in-one platform for improving and getting better at League of Legends.